picked up with Montgomery.
Welcome to Real Talk, where real estate meets real conversations.
I'm Sean Harvey.
I'm Brittany Newhart.
And today we have some guests with us.
Yes.
We have, who do we have?
Yeah, you want
Jenny Isaacson.
Crystal Hofer.
And where are you guys from?
Dakotaland. We are mortgage loan officers at Dakotaland.
Perfect.
Yes.
We get to work with you guys quite a bit now.
Yeah.
So.
Yes.
But you recently joined the team here in Huron, right?
A little over a year ago.
Okay. Yep. I was gonna say it.
I was going to say, it feels like it's almost
I
been
was gonna
2
say
years.
it feels like no time, but so much time at all.
Yeah,
all the
I
time,
know.
So. Where'd you guys grow up at? Like, are you originally from Huron or?
Yes and no. My dad lived here, so I was always here for summers and got to run around on the farm, which was nice. And then decided to come and make this my home.
Good. I got conned into it. My husband lived up here, so I started
And
dating
now
him,
it's
and
your
now I
home.
just
Yeah.
have it up here. No, I love it though. It's the first place that really felt like home for as an adult. Like growing up in your hometown is one thing, but when you get settled, it's kind of nice. It's a good place to settle.
Yeah.
What about you, Crystal?
Oh, I'm from Eastern South Dakota, we'll say. I grew up in Mitchell, graduated from Oldham Ramona. So 15 kids in my class.
Knew
And-
every single one.
Yep.
So that's good.
Yep. Made my way to Huron in 2007. So
Okay.
been
Been
here
here
ever
quite a while.
since.
Yeah.
Yep.
So your husband has Ryan's hanger.
Yep.
So, because his name's Ryan. So here's my question for you: is he the cook of the family then?
Yes.
Yeah.
100%.
You do not cook. It is great.
Does he still cook when he gets home too? Or do you guys just
you
go to
know,
the restaurant for dinner?
We're closed on Sundays, so we do a lot of pizza.
Oh.
That's
I
okay.
don't blame you.
That's okay. Sean, you're kind of a cook though at your
Yeah.
house, right?
Yeah.
Amber
I
does
just don't
cook.
have. Yeah, everybody
Yeah.
kind of chips in, but it's like I just struggle with the time.
Yeah.
You know.
Are you like a early eater or the late eater?
I could eat later. I'm fine with that. Like I haven't had breakfast yet, so
I eat my lunch in your
breakfast,
office.
lunch, all in one, and then we'll roll into supper sometime.
Yeah. There's the
Sometime before bed.
Sometime.
Yeah.
Well,
That's-
it's like the pet store closes at 7, and it's like okay, so then you get home and you cook after the pet store closes, so it's like 8. And it's like okay.
No, we're like 5 o'clock. Like, pick up the kids, get home, eat, because
Yeah.
they go to bed at 8. So it's like,
Yeah.
we got to get this rolling.
Oh, I wish
Yeah.
my kids went to bed at 8.
Yeah. We're like sitting in bed at 8 o'clock, and we're like, well, do you want to go get ice cream?
Then
like,
you have time for snacks.
exactly. I was like, we're kind of hungry again.
I
And
got
so
in bed
snack.
last night at 10:30, 11, and then pretty soon I hear the shower start. I'm like, oh, Kara must be taking a shower. Whatever.
You
I'm
never know
out.
when things are
Yeah.
going to happen.
No.
Yeah. That hurts. Okay, so we're going to talk today about some home buyer education, some kind of stuff that you guys see that we get to work with you on. So what's
Yep.
kind of your main job with Dakotaland? Like, what are you doing?
Yep. So basically, loans.
Period, the end.
Mortgages.
Mortgage.
Yep.
Yep.
We do purchase loans. We do home improvement. We do construction. We help get people to a point where they can do a mortgage and get into the home the home of their dreams.
And we've kind of mentioned this before to our clients is sometimes we see these weird loan people come through where it's like Rocket Mortgage or some
Mhm.
out of state online and they get denied. And we're like, you have to go in town. And I know
Yep.
you've saved
And they
couple
don't
of
get
ours.
denied until like 3 days before
Yes.
closing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you sent it, I think you had one of mine, it was like 2 weeks before.
Yep.
And you got it. So
Yep.
you're finding a way, you're helping a lot of local people, and it's a face to your loan, which is great.
Yep.
So we always
Yep.
encourage people to be in town.
So do you guys sit down with them and
Yeah,
run
how
their
are you
credit,
educating?
and then you tell them what they need to do or what they could do to get approved or how they could shift things around.
Yeah,
a little
how are
bit?
you changing their denial from somebody else into making it happen? There's a good question.
I think with us, we at least, with Dakotaland, we have in-house mortgages too. So we have more options, I think. And when we get those applications, when we pull that credit, we kind of go through everything we can possibly go through to see what programs we can get them into. So we're not set with, one program that they have to fit into. We can kind of maneuver it around to see where they would fit best.
Sure.
Yep. I actually switched a loan. We're closing here in about 2 weeks, and this week we ran into a situation where Debt to income ratio wasn't working out, so tried some other loan programs, got them pre-approved again, and on we go.
Yeah.
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 Hopefully the closing won't be pushed, and
That is kind of nice too. You guys are you're trying something different. Like one direction doesn't go where somebody else is just gonna like, oh, that's too difficult. Stop. You guys are like, okay, that part doesn't work.
yep.
Now what? No.
Perfect.
Yeah,
Yes.
I've ran
Yeah.
into situations with Dakotaland where you guys, whether the insurance didn't work out or whatever it was because the roof was 11 years old instead of 7 or whatever, where you guys have actually shifted things into an in-house loan and you work to get them done, and that is very
Yeah.
much so appreciated.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
What type of homebuyer education do you guys do with, say, we have a first-time homebuyer? What kind of do you offer?
Well, I mean, to be completely honest, we're a big fan of before they come see you, before they come see us, do a home ownership class. Like, and people can definitely reach out to us. We can get them in touch with online, in person, whatever they prefer. And just getting that home buyer education up front is so important because a lot of these mortgage programs require a home ownership class. And so if you're in a purchase agreement and you have to take the class at this point, most people say, "God, I wish I would have done that 4 months ago when I started thinking about buying." So, I mean, one thing we're trying to do is get people to take that class far in advance. And it doesn't matter how old they are either. It doesn't matter if they're 18 or they're 58.
And it doesn't matter if it's a first home or a third, it's still beneficial information.
Yeah, exactly. 'Cause
absolutely.
like we said, we learn stuff from every transaction. People are going to learn stuff even if they've done it before. But is there a perk to it? Like sometimes it's a requirement for your loan, but is there a reason why people should do it? Like outside.
Sometimes. There's different credits that the big investors have that will require that you take the course, and then you get a credit on your closing costs. So
Nice.
yeah, definitely.
Money to it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's kind of where we started the podcast. It's great to keep people educated. We're not a replacement for that, but hopefully we're giving people those ideas of like, oh, hey, they actually have a class for this.
Yep.
Keeping that open. So I know Huron used to have some in-person ones. It kind of goes back and forth with that whole COVID thing. Like sometimes died out a little bit. So keep trying to bring it back.
I used to help teach one of those
Yeah.
for a while.
Yep.
It's good. So, but it's nice to have an online version. I think there's a lot of people that like that online aspect
And
too.
they can always call us too and come in. And we can walk through things with them as well. There's a lot of different options that they can do. If they have questions, we're always open to answer them. So
Absolutely.
I have a home buyer presentation PowerPoint if anybody would like to see it.
Sean
Hold
can
that
always
out.
teach it. Yeah. Come on. Yeah, that'll be Sean's next job is being a teacher.
So my little classroom.
Yep. He did go talk to a class or a middle school, right?
Oh,
5 in a
Yeah.
row.
Yep. So
Yeah.
I was
But
surprised they let him there.
That was about citizenship and not real
Oh,
estate,
yeah.
but
It should be,
It was
though.
a little
That'd
bit
be
of a
fun.
challenge though, because it was like, okay, by the 5th class, I'm like, what did I tell you guys?
Yeah.
I mean, I just did this 4 times in a row, and this is the 5th. And I don't remember what I said in the last group. So
Yeah.
Did I happen to tell you about?
Yeah.
And if I said that 3 minutes ago, I'm really sorry.
Yeah. Repeat. Just videotape yourself the first time, and then just here's the
Yeah,
video of
here's
everybody
the-
else. Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's all their questions too. Yeah, that's always funny. But no, yeah, we always just send people to you when they have questions because it changes. You guys stay educated on it. We stay up to education on our stuff, but there's always, people ask us, what's the interest rate? We don't know. We don't know until you run till you guys run your stuff. And even then, we usually don't know.
Yeah.
You're not coming back telling us people's bank account numbers and how much they're approved for, but we don't know a lot up what type of loan and
There's so many different rates out there too. I mean, right now we have everything from 5.125 up to, 8.
Yeah.
Sure.
So it just depends what program, and that's, everyone's first question. What's my rate? Well,
Yes.
what's your situation? We need to know the whole big picture, and then we
Right.
can figure out
Yeah.
your rate.
That is the hard part because I think a lot of people do think like, what's the interest rates right now? Right now, what is it? And I'm like, yeah, it's that range, and that 3% range is a huge change.
Yep.
So
Mhm.
we don't know.
What other topics did you want to discuss on that subject?
You guys.
Well, I mean, I guess as far as we're going to talk about some market trends and
Sure.
how everything looks right now, what we've heard, what we see. One big topic is the conversation of marry the home, date the rate. Everyone's heard
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Yes.
The
But
first
what
time
does
I
that
heard it,
mean? Like, let's break it down because people hear it.
yep.
Why would you want to do that? Like, why would you want to just?
So I find the house of my dreams, but you know what? I don't want a 6.875% interest rate. Understandable, that's fine, but if now is the time, you should probably just purchase the house, because is it something that you're going to regret that you didn't do? Like, this was the house. I'm upset for years because I didn't do it. You can always refinance. I mean,
When those interest rates go down, refinance. You'll have your home at the price point before everybody starts looking. When those interest rates drop, everybody's going to start looking for those
Right.
houses. They think that's the time to buy. Well, supply and demand kind of thing. Prices tend to go up on those houses when everybody's looking.
Right.
So,
And I guess I have my personal thoughts are here that the rates right now, if you're between 5.184 or whatever and 8% on the highest end, most years is probably going to fall in the 6 range, I would guess. And that's really historically not what we would call a high interest rate.
Right.
yeah.
It's high compared to what
Compared to
people
the
saw.
last few years,
Yes.
but in the grand scheme of things, it's actually not high.
And I think it's everybody's looking back and they're just sour because they didn't get that 2% or they gave it up and sold it and needed to upgrade it.
Right.
They're kind of looking back and they're like, I just want that.
But if you bought a house in the 80s,
Yeah.
it was
17%.
Yeah.
interest.
Yep.
Yep.
And the house prices are always going to go up. So
Yep.
you're not going to lose too much with it. Like you said, refinance. We've refinanced on almost every house that we've had because something lower comes up. There you go.
Yep. Yep. Well, and I think people are getting a little more realistic. They're starting to realize that actually 2 and 3% is not normal, and it probably will never
Right.
be a thing again.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, it happened once because of some crazy event, and it's not normal.
But if you were
5
talking
and 6
to
is normal.
if you were talking
Yeah.
to a person that was 100 years old, would they have ever believed that interest would have went that low?
No.
Probably not. And it's probably the only time they saw it in their life. It's probably the only time we'll see it in our lives.
Absolutely.
And I understand why people keep it. It's great, but once you outgrow your house, if you're not happy with it,
It's
there is
time.
other houses.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yep.
there is other stuff. So, and you could sell your house back then for more now and put that more as a down payment. Keep the prices low. So there's always
Absolutely.
options.
Yeah.
Yep.
Do you guys run people through kind of you guys probably, we have like an estimator sheet. Do you guys kind of do that? Like, here's going to be your house payment in the beginning. Like,
Oh,
because we always have people like, what's my house payment on this house? And we're like, go to your lender.
Yep.
So I
Yeah.
hope
Yep.
we always lead in the right
Absolutely.
direction of,
Yep.
in this range, this
Yep.
is what you guys will see.
well, and it's, I won't say funny, but people will come in and say, I want to buy a $250,000 house. Like, okay. And sometimes you can even pre-approve them for that right there on the spot. It happens. And then you start running through, well, I don't have a property address or anything, but I'm going to plug in some homeowners insurance and some taxes, and your payment would probably be about this.
Yeah.
And their eyes get big, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
like the freak out kind of happens.
Yeah.
So then we run some scenarios and say, if this seems high, this is what it would be at 200. This is what it would be at 150. And sometimes, I mean, just that initial, thought, hey, I want to buy a house, and this is, I'm looking online and I'm seeing that I like this price range, but it's kind of good to get pre-approved and to know
what you're comfortable with.
Yeah.
absolutely.
I
Yeah.
think
We don't ever want to put somebody in a situation where they're not comfortable with that monthly payment. So,
exactly. And even though you're approved for it and on paper you can afford it, doesn't mean that that's what people want to spend on
Right.
their house.
Right.
And we've done this with, I know I've done it, I bet you've done it too. Instead of telling people like, okay, go see how high you are approved with, you kind of reverse it and you're like, go see, you have that set monthly payment that you know you want to spend, go see how
Yep.
much that house would be worth it. See where that payment is. Instead of us showing you $300,000 houses because you're approved for that and you don't like the house payment, let's figure out what that
Well,
actual
the house
number
payment
is.
you're going to be stuck with for quite a while if you
Yes.
keep the house.
Yes.
Yeah.
Even
So
if you
might
can
as well be comfortable
refinance,
with it.
like
Yep.
you refinance and stuff, and it goes down a percent of interest, you're still gonna pay like maybe $200 less if you get a lot better interest rate. It's still gonna be
Yep.
right up in there. So you got to make sure that, give or take couple
And
$100.
taxes don't
you're
ever go
comfortable.
away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Watch your neighborhood taxes. That has
That
killed
is
some
true.
deals for
Yeah.
us. I mean,
Yes.
it really has.
Especially
It
the
really-
last couple of years here.
Yeah.
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 There's a couple of times where we look at our neighborhood and it's a newer one, so some people's taxes aren't up to date, or there's a tax program, so it's not as accurate. And once we started looking, we're like, oh my gosh, do we have to move?
You know, there's houses
Like,
that
it's
have
gonna be scary,
$1,500 taxes, and there's houses on the other side of town that go up to $4,000 taxes.
Yeah.
Just depending on where they're at and what they're assessed at and different things.
Yep.
And if you got pre-approved over here for $1,500 taxes a year, but you move over here and you want $6,000 a year taxes, that really changes your payment.
And
Yeah.
updating, definitely. We bought our house and our taxes were pretty low, our old house, smaller house, but then we added a giant garage and we did all these updates. So we sold it for more. And I told them, I was like, you might want to budget for double the taxes, because like it hasn't hit. Like we built our garage and then we moved, and I'm like, it hasn't hit yet. So you kind of don't trust this tax amount because it's not accurate.
Be prepared.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know what it's gonna be, but
Yeah.
these city people.
Yep.
Need to mess
Nothing
with
to do
us.
with me.
Yeah.
Go talk to the county.
yeah. That's true. So, you have a couple topics.
Yep.
Too, of kind of what you guys see with appraisal stuff.
Yep. Do you want to talk about appraisals? Why we do appraisals, Jenny?
Yeah, mostly we just want to make sure that, we're lending an appropriate amount for that property. Also making sure that you're not overpaying, if you're purchasing the property for $500,000 and it only appraises for $200,000, I mean, that's a huge gap there.
Yeah.
So we want to make sure that, we're doing accurate numbers on the property.
And it's protecting you guys, but it is protecting the buyer too.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I mean, it doesn't only protect the seller. They might lose a little bit of money, but
right.
but it still overall helps. Because people's options with that. So say an appraisal comes in under, what do you guys normally tell them to do? Like, you don't just have to pull the wholesale.
Right.
Those things.
Generally speaking, if it comes back under, go back to your realtor,
Yeah.
let them know, and ask that seller, hey, will you bring it down to where the appraisal is? And we can provide a copy of the appraisal if they want to see it, and bring it down to a market value that's fair. Yep. Yep.
Good.
Yeah. The other thing we were going to kind of mention is just the difference between an appraisal and a home inspection.
Yes. People always, especially when it comes to like lender required repairs and home inspection repairs.
Yep.
We have a lot of people that are like, well, why didn't that get called my home inspection? And it's like, well, it did, but they didn't care as much.
Right.
But your
Right.
appraisal does.
Yep. Your home inspection is calling things out to be informative,
Mhm.
let you know,
Mhm.
hey, these are the things that might need your attention. The appraisal is required.
Yes.
And depending on what loan program you're doing, it might call things out that need to be fixed, and it might not.
And those things are like smoke detectors, flaking paint, deterioration items on the exterior, handrail, safety things more. Safety or
Yeah.
deterioration.
Yeah.
And depending on the loan program, I mean, that can make or break a loan.
It can, yeah. Well, some of these houses will not pass. I mean, there's just no way.
Yeah.
And sometimes we try to put that on there, like, hey, this isn't going to pass the FHA loan, just to save everybody some time. But the reason for that is because of where that funding comes from, right?
Right.
So conventional loans, those guys you can do in your office, like you can do it in house.
We have
right?
in-house loans.
Yep.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
but then these FHA ones and these
Rural
government funded
development.
veterans ones,
Yep.
those ones, the government provides some money for that. So they want to make sure the house is safe and put together and
Yep.
not falling apart.
And sometimes people who are getting those type of loans, they are lower income sometimes. Sometimes they have a higher debt to income ratio. If something were to happen in that house in the next year or two, they might not have the money to fix it, to do anything with it. So these government programs are looking at that too, saying, there's a reason why we're not requiring you to put down a down payment, or we're only requiring a small down payment. It's because we know that your financial situation isn't the same as other people. So
Yeah. And
Yeah.
we like to ask people that, like, okay, what type of home are you looking for? And if you want to fix her upper, it might not be the best to do kind of a FHA
Right.
or any
Yeah.
government funded. And they go into that though, knowing they want to make repairs.
Yep.
But then there's people like, I don't have the extra funds for repairs.
Right.
Those might be the ones a little bit better.
And there's
for.
always the common misconception of, okay, I'm borrowing money for this house. I have to get a home inspection. That's really your choice. We recommend that you get a home inspection just so you know what you're getting into.
Yeah.
And sometimes it makes or breaks a deal, and that's fine. But at least then you know where you stand.
Yeah.
But a home inspection is something you pay for right away. You get done right away before we even get to the lender required repair side of it. So
Right.
we want to make sure that buyers want that property and are comfortable with that property before we ever make it that far.
Yeah. Because even with, so a home inspection, we've had this with other deals. We make sure it kind of passes inspection first before you guys are ordering the appraisal and the stuff that you'd have to pay back so we don't get there. And then when we get that inspection, we're kind of talking with you guys like, okay, which type of loan for sure? Okay, you got this type. Let's go in and highlight these things we know that the appraisal is going to call.
Yep.
Because we've seen it a million times. It's always a handrail. Always a handrail. Gotta be one everywhere. So,
but I mean, we've
Yeah.
seen some appraisal or home inspections come back, and they're major things that need to be fixed
Right.
too. So those are things that, I mean, they might not have caught that later on.
Well, unless you're a contractor or have been familiar with working on properties, there's a lot of buyers that walk into a house that just look at the finishes and the overall layout and nothing else matters because that's not their specialty, and that's fine. That's why the home inspection is so important, because the basement might be caving in, but the house might look pretty on top, and that's a huge detriment, and I wouldn't recommend doing anything with it unless you get some serious things resolved.
Yeah.
as a realtor now, you go back and you look at yourself buying like your first home or even like your first
Yes.
rental, and you're like, what were you thinking? Because like we walked in, we're like, it's so pretty, and you just that's it. And then like a parent or somebody else comes in and they're like, did you guys even look at the windows? And we're like, no, there's windows. That's great. What do you mean? Look at
I
them.
am guilty of that.
Oh,
I
it's
have
so bad.
never had a home inspection on a house.
Yeah.
I just roll with it. But that's me.
Yeah.
That's me, and that's
But
my
it's
comfort
like-
level.
But still, when you look at it now, though, you're still like noticing like the windows. You're noticing the furnace is older. Something like it's so funny though. When you first go in, you're like, I don't care. I love it. We're buying it. It doesn't matter what it looks like. And it's so funny now how that's changed.
But that's why
Yeah.
you have the realtor to tell you, okay, this is what you should do, and then you have the lender, okay, this is what your loan is, so this is what you have to do.
Right. Yeah.
And different things like that.
Yeah. We're always over here like admiring the paint color. And, like that does not matter when your window can't even open. So it's
They're painted shut.
yes, exactly. So we learned that. One of the other things you're going to talk about today is like you have your approval and you lost your funding. Now what?
Well, kind of would like to cover how that happens. Like, so the different things that pop up during the process of a loan that will stop the financing from being available. First thing, you change your job, you lose your job, you change jobs, you get a promotion. Now you might not fit within the income guidelines that we're going to verify and find out now you'd make too much money. I mean, income is a huge part of your pre-approval, and any change in income can drastically affect your pre-qual. What else was I going to say?
The
on
one
that?
thing I would add to that is if you're switching jobs to make more money, but you're losing all of your overtime from your last job because you
Yep.
can't count it anymore, that can drastically change your
Yes.
lifestyle too.
Yep.
Pre-approval.
Especially with, we have some egg places around here. A lot of their pay comes from overtime.
Overtime.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
Randy hit that when he was with Egg Tegra, and it was hard because you have to be there for, was it 2 years or
2.
Yep.
Mhm.
So 2 years of having that consistent overtime.
Sometimes 1 year, but
But if you're not getting that overtime, or you're still getting the overtime but you switch positions,
can't
That-
use it until you have
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you might be making thousands of dollars more, but none of that overtime counts anymore because you switch positions.
Yeah.
Right. And I mean, kind of running along with income, getting us your income verifications ASAP.
Right.
Because, you know, if you have a 2-month time frame from the time you do your purchase agreement till closing, and you don't get us everything we need in the first 2 weeks, and you're bringing it in 2 weeks before closing, I mean, that's terribly
Right. That's,
Well, and that's
scary.
unsafe to do, because if
Yeah.
we find something in your documentation that says
Yeah.
this isn't what you told us
Yeah.
at the beginning,
Yeah. So if we
Then-
get those pay stubs and W-2s as soon as possible when we do that pre-approval.
Just take them in
return.
right
yes,
away.
yes,
Yeah.
tax
take them in
returns.
the first day.
Yeah. and I mean, it goes back to being, it's super important when you're filling out that application that you're doing it with the most accurate information that you can give us, because we base that pre-approval off that application. So if you're thinking that you're making, you know, $3,500 a month, but when we get your tax returns, we can only use $2,000 a month, that makes a huge difference in what we thought we could approve you for versus what we can actually approve you for. So
And fibbing will never work, because
No.
we will find out.
Yes.
yeah.
That's yeah, you can lie to us, but you can't really lie to you guys. You pull too much. So that there you work with people for a long time too. So sometimes we're selling houses to somebody for 2-3 years. They're working with a lender for the same amount of time. So I think it's always a good option. Obviously, you're not going to just never take that promotion because you started with them a year and a half ago. You just haven't found the house. But talk to your lender. Be like, okay, I'm going to take this promotion. Like, how long is that going to take me to make sure that I can get approved for X amount? And it might be that overtime thing. It might take a year or so. It might not. Same thing with, okay, I got this large sum of money. Somebody passed away. What should I do with this amount?
Yep.
You know, because there is things where
We just need
especially when you get
documentation.
yes, like when you get close to closing your loan, like what if all of a sudden you deposit $20,000 into your account, and everybody's like, "Where'd this come from?"
Mhm.
That's stuff that you need
Yep.
to know and find it and stuff. Even if it's
Yep.
a gift from a grandparent, cool.
We just need
You
to
gotta know.
track it, and
Yeah.
you know, and sometimes tracking some of that stuff gets uncomfortable, because if it's a gift from someone, we have to get their bank account information, their statements. They don't love that. So
How in the world do you guys keep track of like if you're pre-approving a real estate agent, let's say? How in the world do you keep track
Yeah.
of that?
It's not fun. Haven't you bought a house recently? It's I'll tell you on my experience, it's like they average it, right? Is
Yep.
that kind of what
So
you do?
tax returns, if you're self-employed, we need 2 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you
Yep.
just say,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Right.
and except I've had this. If it's very different, okay, we had 2021, crazy year. 2022 slowed down a little bit. So if it's a crazy difference, you sometimes take more years, right? So, or does it always 2 years?
Well,
If it's a
yeah,
crazy
sometimes
drop.
we'll do 3.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was
Yep.
gonna say I think I've had like 3 or something, just to make sure it's not like a trend.
Yep.
Mhm.
sure.
And stuff they
Yep.
average it.
And if
Oh,
you
yeah.
can explain it, I mean, there's different things that happen in all sorts of different
Yeah.
self-employed.
Especially as
Things.
like women had a kid, that was like I'm
Yep.
like, well, this year I had a
Mhm.
kid and
Yep.
I took 3 months off.
Yeah.
Yep.
So in a real estate
Just have to
self-employed job,
explain
you
it.
have to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well,
Yep.
and that's what's
Bring the
nice
kid.
about being a lender in town.
Yes.
Is you can come talk to us. We're available.
Right.
You know, open communication with us helps the loan go a lot smoother.
I think
Yep.
you guys, like any of us, call us and ask us,
Yep.
like,
Yeah.
should I pay this car off with that benefit, or should I put that money for a
Mhm.
down payment?
Yes.
That kind
Yes,
of thing.
that
Those
kind of thing.
conversations can make or break it.
I do find it super interesting personally that if I were to pay off one of my, if I pay off my credit card and I close my credit card account,
Yes.
that
could hurt
actually
you.
hurts my credit.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's crazy to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem very
I mean, paying
fair.
off your
No,
paying off
exactly.
your credit card
Pay
is
it off.
fine, but
Yep.
don't
Yes.
cancel it.
Yeah.
But use it every year or
Yeah.
something. It's a pain in the butt. That's hard. Especially like, I don't know, if you have it and you use it too much, like you want to cancel it so you don't
Right,
use it.
right.
So that's always hard.
Just put it in an envelope and seal it, and
Yeah.
have
Just
your
give it to
significant
me,
other
I'll
hide it in
Yes.
a drawer.
Hide it away. So one thing that we've done a while back, if you were to go back and tell your younger self, tell your kids some sort of tip, task, something to do, what would you tell them? Like build your credit young, or what can you do as a younger adult before coming into buying a house, anything like that? What's a good advice?
I would say when you turn 18, get a credit card and learn about it. Learn how to use it effectively, if you want to charge everything you do that month and you can pay it off at the end of the month, go for it, but get some credit going, because we run into, frequently people who don't know how to use credit, or never got a credit card, never got any sort of credit. They have zero credit. They don't have bad credit. They just don't have any credit reporting. I had one the other day who actually had previous credit, but didn't have something that was like revolving and monthly, and actually had paid off a loan a year or two ago, and now credit was not reporting anymore.
No.
So had nothing, like had loans, had history, but had nothing like a line of credit that's monthly. So I would say that. I didn't know anything about credit cards when I went to college. I got a credit card and I went to the ATM and it spent money at me all the time. It was great. Like, why didn't anyone teach me about that?
Yeah.
I
that
grew
should
up
be like a whole credit class.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yes.
I think so.
My mom was a lender growing up and stuff, so she was very pushy about that, so which is great. But she actually put me on a credit card with her, and it was
Like
when
at
I was
16?
13 or
Oh,
something.
13,
Yeah,
yeah.
like very young.
Started 13.
Yep. And I was like, I didn't have the card. I was not allowed to use it.
Yeah.
She would use the card and pay it off. But just having that person on there and stuff, it started my credit journey in 2009.
That's crazy.
So it was great. And I have like 10 years of credit and stuff
Mhm.
before I was buying a house. So that kind of thing is
Yeah.
nice, thinking about your kids in that sense. Maybe not give them the card. That
Yeah.
was probably very smart of her. But it was, it's kind of a good thing to add that. Same thing with like a vehicle. When you're buying a teen vehicle, sometimes just co-signing them and having them on.
So that the credit is on them, not just on you. They're
When
paying
do you put them on a loan?
Yeah.
What age?
You can get a credit card. Add them as a credit card user at 13.
How about like a vehicle loan or something like that?
I don't even
I'm
know.
not sure.
I think they have to have a driver's
I don't know
license,
for
right?
sure.
That's not your department. I was just
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Quizzing you.
no.
You have to know.
Just
No.
curious.
Yeah, I feel like you'd have to have a driver's license. I
I
don't
feel
know.
like I started pretty young because I just
14. Yeah, I feel like consumer can do, but I
Yeah.
think there's a lot of co-borrowers.
oh yeah. For sure.
Co-signers.
Yes. Even for the first house and stuff.
I used to call my dad, Dad, I'm gonna buy a vehicle. I need you to sign.
Yeah, just sign this one document quick. Yeah.
Promise
Don't-
I'll pay.
Yeah.
Always did.
Hopefully. Yes, thankfully.
But
Responsible
for
child.
me, those are conversations that I'm constantly having with my daughters. Like they're 11 and 12, so they're getting to that point where in a couple of years they're going to be wanting to build that credit. So
That's the type of stuff, like we said, it's not taught. Like
Right.
it's not always taught. So it was a
yeah,
good
I
thing.
had no idea
it
what I
started.
was doing.
Yeah. So I'm like, it's great though. So like having that, but there's a lot of kids that grow up, they have some hand-me-down car from their parents. Like you said, they don't have
Yep.
anything until all of
Yep.
a sudden they have maybe student loans.
Student loans.
Yep. That's
Yep.
the first thing. And yeah, you'll have those forever. But there you go. So-
Growing up, my dad didn't really teach me anything about credit. So for me, it's super important that I'm teaching my kids, what
Mhm.
what you need to do. If you do get a credit card, you're not spending it to the limit,
Right.
and
definitely.
having those conversations constantly. So once they get to the point where they're purchasing their first home or whatever, then they've built that credit.
Yeah.
and
Right.
Maybe
they
you
know
won't
what
have
they're
to
doing.
co-sign
Yeah.
now.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So
Yep.
be good. Yeah.
You guys have
that'd be
anything
so.
else for us?
I'm just trying to think of anything else that can really pull back a loan so people are aware, and
Buying
um,
vehicles, spend like,
insurance. Yep. Changing your credit. So if
Yeah.
you buy a new vehicle, you get a new credit card. Furniture
credit
credit
cards.
cards.
Yes.
Don't
Yeah.
do that right before closing. Wait till after you buy the house.
Yeah.
I always tell people
Yes.
if anything where you're like you put in your social, just don't
Yep.
do it.
Yeah.
Don't
Because
do it.
sometimes it could just be like we talked about it before, like those Affirm
Yep.
loans where it's like buy now, pay later. Everybody just
Yes.
thinks like, oh, it's no big deal. That's a credit.
Yep.
Yes,
So
and
it's
they
like-
don't
Yep.
technically
It's not
show
layaway.
on their credit report,
Yeah.
but when we get monthly bank statements, we see all of that.
Yeah.
And
Sure.
if we're right before closing and we're getting those monthly statements saying, hey, we have a firm and I can't think of the
Yeah.
other ones, but
Klarna.
and you're
Klarna,
spending
yeah.
thousands of dollars a month on these, we still have to include that into your debt to income ratio. Like
Yeah.
that still counts.
It's a loan.
Yeah.
It's
Yep.
like they're not just giving you some free test
Yeah.
run.
Yep.
It's technically a loan. So if you
Yep.
type in your social security number, you question, okay, is this going to come back? And ask your lender. If you really don't know and it's something you need to do, just ask your lender. 'Cause
Yep.
that would be the
Let us know
suckiest
up
reason.
front
Yeah.
because then we can get the documentation too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If it's necessary. The other thing too, like income documentation, get to us right away. But your homeowner's insurance,
Yeah.
like that's really important because that can really affect your overall
And
debt
if you
to
can't
income
get
ratio.
insurance on the property you're buying, that will kill the
It's
deal.
huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's huge. Do
And-
that first.
Yeah.
Homeowners
Look
insurance.
around.
Yeah,
And
it's spendy. But
Yeah.
there is other, like, we've gotten one quote where it's like 3,000. We got another where it's 17. So I'm like,
Yeah.
shop around for
Yeah.
it. But also, it's spendier nowadays. It's going
Yep.
up. So just
Absolutely.
along
Well,
with
the price of
everything.
houses is too, though.
yes. Yeah.
Yep.
But I think even older homes, you're kind of seeing more higher interest rates than newer homes because of possible issues coming up. Or is
Oh, for
Yeah.
insurance?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Insurance on a brand new home.
is
is-
less because there's usually like more
No worries.
more safeties. Yeah, there's a lot more safety code
Right.
things. So yeah,
Yep.
usually no worries. We
Yep.
hope not. But never know. So perfect.
Well, thank you, ladies, for joining us today. We really appreciate your insight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for having us.
Yes. And you guys do have social media, so you guys got your
Yep.
Facebook page, so you can always follow them, see
Go to
who's
the,
all
You
closing.
can go to the Dakotaland website and apply online, or
Yeah.
give you a call any day. What's your phone number?
Yeah, you swing in.
Do you know your phone number?
412-2890.
Look at you.
I had to think about it.
Yeah.
How about you?
I'd have to look it up.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. It's okay.
Just call your phone.
I'm over here like Sean's gonna ask me what the office number is, and I don't know.
Hey, Brittany, what's the office number?
It's like 352-2333.
No.
3332. I don't know.
605
I don't know.
352 3332. And I hope you all have a great week.
Just call myself.
you.
See ya.
And remember, who you work with matters.